College basketball program. It's the first installment in our off-season top 25 reveal, and the captain, Mike Holland, joins me right now for teams 25 through team 16. Lots of new faces in new places, and some of the old guard holding their positions. We're happy you're here. Now let's go. Recording live from somewhere. This is One and Done.
Get out the insurance cards, get out the co-pays. The office is open, my friends. Brought to you by DrRoto.com.
It's time once again for everybody to come aboard that One and Done train. Welcome to One and Done. Bienvenidos a todos a One and Done, your fast break of college basketball información. And we're powered by the galaxy's greatest website. That's DrRoto.com. I am your sometimes humble host. My name is Jay Heinrich, and I happen to be the conductor of the aforementioned One and Done train. Follow me on X at Dr. William Cannon, but do yourself a favor and do this first. Follow this man at MC Holland 34 over there on X. Around here, he's known as El Capitan himself, the captain of the One and Done ship, joining me tonight to start breaking down our offseason top 25. The captain himself, the OG Money Mike, Mr. Mike Holland. Mike, what it do?
We're declaring it, Jay. We're absolutely declaring it. We're declaring the offseason as it's like one of the presidential races, they call it. You haven't counted all the votes yet. There's still going to be some transfers that we'll sprinkle in here and there. But as soon as Desmond Claude made his decision to go to Washington, I looked at the big board and I was like, man, there's no one inside the top 170 players. So we'll go ahead and call the race there. And here we are, June 10th, about to start a off-season top 25. So excited to be here, man. We got a lot to chat about.
Remember, way back in the day when we used to talk about, like, man, how early is a top 25? How early is too early? And here we are in the second full week of June, breaking down the off-season top 25. But we've got the roster set, and it's worth a conversation for sure. And we hope you join us for a conversation, just like the gentleman in the liveliest live chat in all of college basketball. Leading off tonight, our good friend Michael Peterson. Michael, haven't heard from you in a while. Hope you're feeling well. Hope you're recovering well from everything. And it's good to see you right there leading off in the one hole in the live chat like the good old days. Also joining us, Darren, getting it out of the way real quick. He has to say it at least 500 times before the season starts. He will not play Jaden Epps in DFS this upcoming season. Way to go, Darren. We appreciate you. And then Riley hanging out with us again.
What's up,
How's
Riley?
it going with you? Riley, good to see you there. And then, of course, wouldn't be One and Done without our guy, CT Huggin, Cam, the man of many names and many comments in the live chat. It's always good to see Cam hanging out with us. Once you join them, they're friendly. They won't bite, probably. Hit that subscribe button so you can hop in there with them and chat with us. Give us some off-season, top 25. Why not? When do we start our 26, 27 big board on June 30th? Sooner than you think, Darren, and it'll be coming to you right here on One and Done because we're talking basketball 365 days a year. So don't go too far because we're always turning out the content. So make sure you follow us on X as well at One and Done CBB on all the socials for that matter. X, TikTok, Blue Sky, even Instagram. Just go follow them all. Do yourself a favor. Just push the buttons now because the content will come. And then follow, for all the best fantasy advice, follow our guy Eric the Blue at Fantasy Nav in those Twitter streets, pushing the buttons tonight, getting you those graphics, and one of the best in the biz right there tonight behind the scenes for us. All right, Mike, why wait any longer? I think it's time to hop into it. Our preseason top 25 reveal. That was like the worst, like drum roll in, but it's going to have to do here. It fits the bill here on One and Done. Let's start, Mike, with team number 25. It is Creighton, the Blue Jays of Creighton in the Big East. And 2024-2025, they finished 25-11. Got the 9 seed, beat Louisville 89-75 in the first round before losing to 1 seed and eventual Final Four participant Auburn there. Greg McDermott took over the Creighton job in 2010 and has since passed Dana Altman as winningest coach in program history. Mike, that it didn't seem right. It's absolutely correct, but just the thought that McDermott's been there that long, you know, one of the mainstays of college basketball there is McDermott at Creighton. But he's got some work to do. Obviously, Ryan Kalkbrenner out the door, Stephen Ashworth out the door, 2 of the biggest names of recent memory there on campus, and that's not even including Jemiah Neal as well. Those are all guys that, you know, just graduated. They're old, right? We've a lot of old players in college basketball these days, Mike, but all those 3 are out. And then, of course, the notable loss in the portal, it was Pop Isaacs going to College Station and the Texas A&M Aggies. So, again, number 25 here, Creighton, Mike, it's not just about the losses. We're going to give everybody those returners and additions as well, Mike. So who's coming back and who's coming onto campus for Creighton?
Yeah, so coming back to Creighton, Jackson McAndrew. I'll list him as a returning starter. He started enough games last year for them, but former 5-star kid, can really score the basketball. Jason Green's back. He started some games, mostly as a backup for most of the last couple of years. And then Fedor Zugic, Ty Davis flashed in the backcourt for them when some of the guys were hurt last year. So, a couple of returners here, but obviously McDermott going out and doing some things in the portal, bringing in Nick Graves, the guard from Charlotte, Josh Dixon, Owen Freeman coming through from Iowa, Austin Schwartz coming in from Miami, and then Blake Harper coming in from Howard. Also bringing in Hudson Greer, who's number 57 on the 24/7 composite from the high school ranks. Jay, looking at projected starters here, Graves, Dix, and then at that 3 spot, probably be a battle between Zugic and Harper, McAndrew, and then Freeman. Torvik numbers for the Creighton Blue Jays, 23rd overall, so we are a few spots below that. 11th in offensive efficiency projected and 37th in defensive efficiency. So a couple of notes that I jotted down here, Jay. The plus here for this Creighton team is going to be the 3-point shooting to go along with McDermott's offense. I mean, you look at it, you're bringing in Josh Dix, Harper, really good outside shooter. McAndrew can fill it up. I know, his percentages lacked a little bit last year. Owen Freeman can step out and knock down a few threes. So I think they're really going to be able to spread the ball around. Shot creation is going to be there for them. The overall size of this team, I do like that as well. The negative, though, it says 37th defensive efficiency in Torvik, man. I think that would actually be an improvement from where I believe they're going to be, which is probably around the 50s. Look at these guys that are coming in. They're all offensive dynamos like Dix and Owen Freeman. But they got ran around in circles in the Big Ten there, with Iowa. Nick Graves, negative DPBM. So it's not pretty on the defensive side, Jay. I think if they're able to kind of clean that up a little bit, that's going to raise their floor a bit. But I think ultimately the top 25 ceiling is tied to this offense that they should be able to create some things.
Sounds like a fringe top 25 team to me, like the literal definition, a bunch of offensive powerhouse, not a ton of defense, but a team that can run you out of the gym on any given night. Or you might just find a way to beat them on the road at their place. It's one of those teams where we're going to see a lot of ups and downs for the Blue Jays this upcoming season. A team looking for a lot more ups this year is North Carolina State. The Wolfpack, Mike, big time offseason for them. Fired coach Kevin Keats. How quickly we forget. You make a Final Four run and then you're out on your ass. But to be honest, if you're North Carolina State, I think you'd rather have Will Wade, right? Suspended in 2019, and then after an FBI probe, subsequently fired in 2022 for paying players to come to LSU, which is 2025, 3 years later. How ridiculous is that even to come out of my mouth? But here we are. And then obviously the success of McNeese State, getting the Cowboys their first ever tournament win. Now moving on to NC State, Mike, where he's basically starting from scratch with this roster, man, and has accumulated a large amount of talent in a short amount of time.
Yeah, and a couple of weeks ago we said that because we had PJ Haggerty on the mind. Did not get PJ Haggerty, otherwise it'd be a lot higher on this list. But you got a lot of talent, man. The notable returner, the only returner, Paul McNeil, the guard. So it's always nice to have at least one guy that knows his way around campus, right? But all the notable additions from the squad, through the portal here. Darian Williams, obviously a superstar, a forward from Tech. Kadir Copeland, Aline Breed are following him over from McNeese State. Trey Holloman comes through from Michigan State. Terrence Arsenault coming through from Houston. You got Ben Allen Lubin joining from crosstown rival North Carolina. Jerry Dang from Florida State, the forward. So a lot of talent. You've got the we cannot forget the notable international addition of Paul Mbaya, who has been.
You better not. They're gonna come after.
We cannot forget that. It's like NC State fans will come after us. And then also got Matt Abel, number 30 on the 24/7 composite of guard. So a notable addition from the high school ranks. But projected starters here, I mean, I think you're looking at Trey Holloman, Kadir Copeland as the starting backcourt, Terrence Arsenault as a starting wing. Darian Williams obviously locked into that 4 spot, and I think we see Ben Allen Lubin start at the center spot for the Wolfpack. Torvik has them ranked 37, so we are a lot higher than what Torvik thinks. We're 13 spots higher than Torvik. Torvik likes them offensively, 19th in offensive efficiency. Does not like what they're going to be able to do defensively, 63rd in defensive efficiency. So some of the pluses, I think offensive diversity. I mean, anytime you have Darian Williams on the floor, he's going to be able to create a lot of things offensively at that 4 spot. Not only that, but you have a rim pressuring guy like Kadir Copeland. We saw what he was able to do against Clemson in the tournament, and we've seen, obviously, he's been an ACC player before with Syracuse. I think you have Ben Allen Lubin, who can give you some quality post-ups, 90 percentile in post-ups last year. Jerry Dang is a stretch 4, who I think was a little misused at Florida State last year. Terrence Arsenault, this is a kid I think is kind of just scratching the surface, especially on the defensive end. So I really think offensively they're going to kind of be able to do what they want. They have a ton of experience, although they haven't played together. The negatives on this side, there's not a lot of size. Look, I get it, right? Paul Mbaya is 6'10" or whatever, but I don't even think he's going to start. I think he's an important piece for them. Ben Allen Lubin is going to have to play some defense for them, and some of that outside shooting is a question mark too. Can Kadir Copeland, can Trey Holloman get to that Heinrich line? That would obviously really raise that upside for them this year.
Sure would. 35% would do them a lot of good. No doubt about it. Let's look in the live chat before we move on. Cam getting in there saying Creighton being ranked 37th defensively is generous, and he's with you. He's with you, Mike. I know, Mike, you said 50. Cam's feeling closer to 60 there. Might be a tough road to getting stops for this team, and we'll see where they go and if they can find a way to get those stops. But Cam, obviously, on the same page with you there. Shout out to Cam for always being in the live chat and dropping his knowledge in there.
Darren's bringing up a great point. He's saying no D. Good thing Twin Poodle Conference isn't an offensive juggernaut. So that's huge. When we did these rankings, we looked at it and it was like, it also matters who you're playing against. So North Carolina State, maybe if they're in the SEC, it might not have them in the top 25, but we're projecting them where we saw, teams like Louisville, right? Just assemble a brand new team with a brand new head coach and lose 2 games in conference. So that's another part of this projection, right? Is who they're playing against, what their conference is. That obviously is a big factor in it. So, the ACC is not a conference that is going to project as a very stout defensive group for sure.
Or in general, for that matter, but definitely not defensively for sure. Good stuff there, Darren. Appreciate you. Cam, everybody that's already hopped in the live chat tonight, push all those buttons, especially that subscribe button, so you can hop in the live chat and, give us a shout. Let us know you're hanging out with us. We appreciate all of you for doing so. Moving on now to number 23, Kansas. Mike, a team where it just feels like some hadn't been stirring the Kool-Aid out there in Rock Chalk Jayhawk land. A 7 seed last year, 11-9 in the conference. Just a weird feeling season for Bill Self, who it just feels like he's checked out early the last 2 years. I mean, think about it. He admitted to it 2 years ago. And then this past year, it's like you just look at what's going on there, and it's like this doesn't look like a team that has the fire to make a run in the tournament at all. And we've got that 21-22 season with the Natty, and which has been sandwiched now by 4 postseasons of not getting out of the first weekend of the tournament. So which Bill Self are you going to get? Which Kansas team are you going to get? We shall see. We know somebody who they're not going to get anymore, and that's Hunter Dickinson, another, land of the big man guy who feels like he's been around forever. He's out. He's graduated. KJ Adams, Juwan Harris, and Zeke Mayo, obviously some big names also out of the door because of eligibility. And then in the portal giveth, which you'll talk about in a minute, Mike, but it also taketh away. And A.J. Storer left Kansas to join Ole Miss, and then Rylan Griffin, that's right, getting out there to A&M with Pop Isaacs, no longer with Kansas. So what's Bill Self got to do, Mike, to right this ship, and has he done enough, in your opinion, with the guys returning and coming to campus to take the step in the right direction?
Yeah, well, it's kind of weird, right? We used to just 3 years ago pencil in the Kansas to win the Big 12 every single year. It's kind of a running joke, like Kansas is going to win the Big 12. Let's move on to the next thing, right? But I think this roster is okay. I mean, they're preseason number one last year. They're usually preseason top 5 every year, 23rd. And I think that's might be a little generous, man. I mean, the reason why we have that notable returner, Flory Badunga, we think he can be a star, the big man, really flashed last year. Now, they are getting on Marco Jackson back. He was injured last year at the guard. Jamari McDowell, he redshirted. And then they have this kid, Bryson Tiller, who came in the spring. He redshirted. He's a forward. So those guys are all back in the program. And then notable additions from the portal. You got Trey White, a really nice season for Illinois there on the wing. You got Jaden Dawson, who was a scorer for Loyola Chicago. Melvin Council, who we profiled during transfer portal shows, the wing from St. Bonaventure. That it's more like a Swiss Army knife. The big fish, though, at the high school range, you got Darren Peterson. Some places have him ranked number 1. 24/7 has him ranked number 2, just between him and AJ DeBonson, who was going to be number 1 out of high school this year. He's a big physical guard that is seemingly going to have to carry the load for this team along with Badunga. So projected starters for this team, you got Peterson there at the point, Dawson, Council, White, Badunga. Torvik has them ranked 17th overall, 41st in offensive efficiency, 4th in defensive efficiency. The pluses, obviously, a lot of length, a lot of size. Badunga is an elite rim protector. You've got size on the wing. Trey White, a really good defender. So they're going to be able to hang defensively. A lot of size at all positions. And then some things that we're going to have to see, man. Outside shooting, is it going to be there for them? And then how many times we talk about this, Jay? Mid-major transfers. I mean, we just named them off. Dawson, Council. Like, you know what you're going to get from Trey White at this level in the Big Ten. He showed it last year as a starter for Illinois. What's Jaden Dawson and Melvin Council going to be able to do coming up to the Big 12 here, especially playing for Kansas here? I do worry about their depth too, man. So a lot of question marks, which is why they're down here at 23 compared to their most years where they're in the top 5 to 10.
First of all, you said Bryson Tiller, and immediately I'm like, wait, not the singer. This is not the same guy. Okay,
Nah. I don't even think he could say them with his lyrics.
It would be close. I mean, he might. Maybe they should give it a try. Whatever else they're doing over there hasn't worked. But you know what has worked, Mike, to your point earlier about the amount of Big 12 titles that Kansas has won. Going back to 97, obviously, right? It's 20. 20, Mike. And
that's crazy.
Darren saying that this isn't our grandma's Big 12. It's not my Big 12. I got used to Kansas. It was a foregone conclusion every single season. Not so much over the past couple of years. And outside of that one run, to the title, that postseason magic just has not been there for Coach Self. We'll see if he can right the ship this year. Riley making
remember they won the portal last year, and then look what happened. The fit wasn't there.
It's not going to help their case any, Riley. Great point to bring up there for sure. We'll see, man. I don't know. Let us know what you think about Kansas being a destination for top portal players. The pedigree is obviously there. Do people want to play in Lawrence? I don't know. Let us know what y'all think in the live chat there. We'd love to hear from you for sure. Push those subscribe buttons. We're on our way to like 11 gazillion, fulfillion, and one
easily.
Subs.
Easily.
Quickly.
But you still got to hit the buttons.
Yeah, but still push those buttons. We've been sitting around 1540 for a little bit. Why don't we get to like 1543 tonight? Let's get a few in there. Push those buttons if you haven't already. Show us some love. We definitely appreciate you for hanging out with us. Let's move on now to Michigan State, Mike. The old, speaking of mainstays of college basketball, earlier, obviously, talking about
doesn't matter where they're ranked.
Greg McDermott, but we all know once March rolls around, the 22 in the preseason does not matter. We're talking about Michigan State here and Coach Tom Izzo. Last year finished 30-7, earning a 2 seed in the tournament. They went on to beat Bryant, New Mexico, and Ole Miss to make it to the Elite Eight, but lost to 1 seed Auburn there. Now, if you include his 12 years as an assistant in East Lansing, Tom Izzo will soon be entering his 43rd season with the Spartans. And you know, we forget because it's Izzo and it's just like, just get to the tournament, right? And then he makes things happen. They're coming off their first Big Ten regular season title in 5 years, man. So, I mean, it's not like there's the big fall off. It's there. Coach Izzo does not forget how to win. And this landscape of college basketball has not passed him by. But going into next season, he's going to lose Jace Richardson, obviously, to the NBA draft, right? Jaden Akins and Frankie Fiddler both graduating. And then Trey Holloman and Xavier Booker went to NC State and UCLA, respectively. So how do you feel? Obviously, we have them at 22 on this countdown here on these rankings. Bringing in some players that can maybe take some of that Trey Holloman and Xavier Booker production? Are they going to struggle to get there? Or do you really feel like this is just like barely a second weekend type team?
Yeah, well, it's crazy about Izzo teams and kind of liking it to Marquette with Coach Smart. They don't use the portal much. Like, they really focus in on high school players, bringing them in, developing them. So if you look at it, like 3 returning starters in today's college basketball is pretty rare. And you're going to have Jeremy Fears at the point. You have Cohen Carr and Jackson Kohler. I know Carr in and out, right? Starters. So really 2 when you consider Kohler and Fears. But, Cooper's been there for a while too. Carson Cooper, he's returning. He's been, a backup big for the last 3 years. So, look, it's one of the things that Izzo's kind of hung his hat on. Last year, only went out and got Frankie Fiddler. That was an okay get. He played okay. He needs a couple of these guys that are coming in to really be difference makers, I think, this year. But for the most part, this program has really been built on high school talent and developing them. So you got Caleb Glenn coming in, the forward from FAU. I really love his game. Trey Fort, the guard from Sanford, coming over from Buckyball. But yeah, he was at Mississippi State before that. And then Divine, here's the name, Ugochukwu, the guard from Miami, notable DFS fame there when Miami was down all their guards. But yeah, these 3 guys, I think they're going to be able to find a role, especially Glenn and Fort. Notable additions out of high school. I mean, Cam Ward, number 50 on the 24/7. So he's a forward. Jordan Scott, number 52. So a couple of freshmen there. They're going to be able to get a crack at some playing time here. Projected starters, when you got Fears at the 1, Fort probably can start at the 2. Cohen Carr or Glenn, they can really before kind of positionless. They can play both positions. And then Jackson Kohler there at the center spot. Torvik has them 18th overall, 29th in offensive efficiency, 9th in defensive efficiency. So some of the pluses, Jay, connectivity, man. Like, some of these guys have already played with each other. So that's certainly something that you like to see. A lot of these teams that we talk about today, we're talking about 5 brand new starters. Outside shooting is going to be there for them. Depth is there. My question is, you lost Jace Richardson, Jay. Who is the guy? Like, who is the guy under 5 minutes? Is it going to be Jeremy Fears? They're also really young at some spots, so a couple of concerns there. But mainly, I got to figure out who's going to kind of take over that dominant role.
Darren hopping in with the absolute scorcher, saying this party's going to be in the Sweet 16. Really went out on a limb there, pal. Yeah, exactly. We get it, buddy. It is what it is. It's March. Just expect them to be in there. Definitely not going to underestimate Izzo, although we will underestimate his players in the DFS streets. That's right, Michael. It's hard to always jump on there at times. However, if you're interested in those DFS streets out there, you're playing on DraftKings, you do your thing. We definitely are covering all of the best DFS slates right here on One and Done. So if you're here for off-season stuff, that's great. We appreciate that. Hit that button. But also, if you are a DFS player, we do that too during the season. So push all those buttons. Show us some love here as we move on to North Carolina. Come on and raise up the Tar Heels. Cam, are you ready, my friend? Here we go. Strap in. 23-14 last season overall, 13-7 in the ACC. I guess just had to play in that last 4-in game. to win, just to get the 11 seed, right, and beat San Diego State in that game, who looked like that they'd rather be anywhere else other than at that game, and then just got bounced by Ole Miss immediately in the actual first round of the tournament, which is where North Carolina should be playing their first game, by the way, not in the 11 seed play-in game against San Diego State. But, that's Hubert Davis for you in a nutshell. Lost Drake Powell to the draft. RJ Davis. First of all, let's take a second here. Shout out to RJ Davis for a hell of a career, doing his thing in North Carolina. Shout out to RJ Davis. Just wanted to say that. And then Jalen Withers, obviously, leaving as well due to eligibility. He's not one of those guys that put his name in the portal after he played everything and they just said put it in there anyway. No, that's not one of those guys, Mike. But either way, he's out of time. Ian Jackson left in the portal to go to St. John's. Elliot Cadeau, big name, headed to Michigan there. We already talked about Ben Allen Lubin going to NC State. Jalen Washington is joining Vanderbilt, and Cade Tyson is joining Minnesota. Mike, the list of notable returners is dwarfed by the list of notable losses. Yeah. You got Seth Trimble standing around like Will Smith at the end of the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, all by himself in the living room, wondering, is this just me, I guess. It's Trimble, and then what's Coach Davis going to do, man?
And then Davis did everything in the portal and the international ranks and the high school ranks to make out the rest of this roster, man. Notable additions out of the portal: Henry Vasar, the center out of Arizona; Kyan Evans, the guard out of Colorado State; Jaron Stevenson, the forward out of Bama; Jonathan Powell, the guard out of West Virginia; Jaden Young, the guard out of Virginia Tech. We talked about Luka Bogovac the other day, wing from Montenegro, who I think is going to be a key piece to this offense, coming in from the international ranks at the ripe age of 22 years old. Out of the high school ranks, you got Caleb Wilson, the forward, number 9 on 24/7. Isaiah Dennis, the guard, top 50 player. Derek Dixon, also a top 50 player at guard. So North Carolina has some talent. So here's the thing, and I think Riley is I believe Riley's an NC State fan. Don't trust Hubert as a coach. So I know Jay feels that way. I'm starting to head that way. But the thing is, Jay, like projected starters here: Evans at the 1, Trimble at the 2, Bogovac I think is at the 3, Wilson Stevenson either or at the 4. One is the 6th man, and the base are at the center spot. Torvik has them 15th. Torvik loves this team. We're nowhere near 15. We're at 21 for this team. They like them to be pretty balanced: 17th offensively, 12th defensively. My pluses for this team is athleticism. When you recruit as well as you do out of the high school ranks, they got some elite athletes that they're going to be able to roll out there. And I think overall, just the upside, and this is what we talked about North Carolina teams for the last 3 to 4 years. They're like a team that you wouldn't be surprised if they are talent-wise in the Elite 8, Final 4, but then you won't be surprised because of maybe the coaching or just like roster construction, which is a minus for me, and something that me and Cam were kind of talking about over the Twitter streets the other day, was that I don't know who's playing like a traditional point guard role for them, because I don't know that Kyan Evans can really fit that role, and neither does Seth Trimble. Where's the outside shooting too? I know Stevenson, Bogovac can knock it down. This is all based on supreme athleticism, being much better on the defensive end than they were last year. And then the upside of some of their younger players, and this Bogovac kid, I think, is going to have to really be a key for them. So, yeah, I mean, Torvik loves them, Jay. No way we can put him inside our top 20 just kind of based on the the downside of this group and what we've seen over the last couple of years.
Yeah, Cam saying that a top 20 finish this season would be a success with the roster build. Understand, I get it, man, and if you're good with that, let us know what you feel like Davis has to do to keep his gig. I'm curious to see from your perspective what you feel like they need to accomplish this season, even, again, like you just said, with the state of the roster as it is. Running through the live chat real quick. Michael, we appreciate you saying you're going nowhere. We definitely appreciate you hanging out with us always. Michael, good to see you in there. Darren saying Antoine Jamison ain't walking through that door. He's not, but again, it's UNC. Magical things happen on that campus for some reason. It's just like Hubert Davis could catch lightning in a bottle here and finally make it happen. I'm sorry. I'm not. I haven't been a Hubert Davis fan ever since he found a way to miss the tournament after playing for a national title. I'm not doing it. Yeah, Felton, Stackhouse, run down the list there, Darren. Anybody you can think of. No, what's the guy's name? No, Greg Ostertag, love. We want to you want to throw that in there as well. Why not? Why not?
Riley's a Washington fan. Sorry, Riley.
Washington.
Yeah.
All right, good deal, Riley. And Peanut Butter Posse hopping in right on time. Just showing up halfway through. What'd you miss? Hey, you missed it all, my friend. But never, better late than never. But never late is better. Good to see you there, Peanut Butter Posse.
Kinley, there he is. There's my NC State fan.
There he is. Love it. Knew we had some Wolfpack love in the chat for sure. Good to see you in there, Kinley. Eric Montross. There we go. That's actually the guy who I was thinking of. Where did Greg Ostertag play?
Where did Greg Ostertag? Oh, my Kansas, right? No. God, I can't remember. Chat, help us out.
Yeah, let us know. But Eric Montross, I was picturing his big old rectangle head.
I see what you're saying. Jay.
Ostertag was a Jayhawk. Thanks, Darren. Yeah, you're right. I knew I messed that up once it said it, but I had Eric Montross, and I'm picturing him on a basketball card from the early 90s.
Not all big white thinners from the 90s look the same, okay? You're lumping Rick Smith's in there too, or what?
Well, yeah, that's debatable. Vlade only looks different because he had all the facial hair, but that's a whole other story and a whole other show. Look at that, number 25 through 21, Creighton, NC State, Kansas, Michigan State, and North Carolina. Right there on the screen, teams 25 through 21 in the countdown. Good stuff there. We appreciate the live chat being so lively. Yeah, big country. We got Bryant Reeves. Yeah, those Grizzlies uniforms when he got drafted, those were sick. That's when the Grizzlies the Raptors had those awesome uniforms when they both came into the league. That was legit. Yeah, for sure. MJ's not coming to save him. Okay, Riley. Okay, I mean, that's like the ultimate there. Obviously, but good stuff there. Keep hopping it. We love it. We love when we see y'all in the live chat. Keep it going for sure. Oh, we got it. Before we move on to team number 20, we got Cam's response here. If they limp into the tournament or miss, Hubert's gone. High seed and losing prior to Sweet 16. He hopes that he's gone to. That's straight from the mouths of babes, the UNC fan, the resident UNC fan right there. Cam, good stuff there as well. Big Country Reeves looks nothing like Ostertag. Okay, Darren, we'll agree to disagree, my friend. All right, very good. He doesn't, I know.
Peanut butter.
Besides being a big white dude. Exactly. Peanut Butter Posse gets it. Why am I siding with Peanut Butter Posse? That's all right. Uh-oh, Mike, we see it right there. Somebody hopping in saying they hope BYU is worthy of our
I think
ratings.
They are. Not today.
I think they will be, but that's going to be another show down the line, DF Aust. So thanks for hanging out with us. We will get to them. I would venture to say even no spoilers here, but that's a top 10 team, Mike. That's definitely a top 10 team, right-ish, right around those parts. We'll get to it later, so make sure you hit that button and then turn on the notification bell so you don't miss us when we go live again. Good to see you in the live chat. Let's move on now, Mike. Team number 20 all the way to 16 tonight as we run through this reveal of our top 25 countdown, man. Middle of June, never too early here. Not on one and done, it's not. And let's join the Fighting Illini right here on the screen as team ranked number 20 out of the Big Ten right there, 12-8 in the Big Ten last year, 22-13 overall. Good enough to earn them a 6 seed, beating Xavier in the first round, but then losing to Peanut Butter Posse's Kentucky, who were a 3 seed. You're still good enough to get Brad Underwood a contract extension through the 2030-2031 season. We're only a couple seasons removed, obviously. Let's remember they made that nice Elite 8 run. And then obviously got the 6 seed last year. So Underwood locked down through 2031 now for the Illini and 5 straight tournament appearances as well. Losing Yakashonis and Will Riley to the draft, Mike. So some guys that we talked about quite a bit on this show, whether it was just news and notes or DFS from a DFS perspective. And then the portal, Trey White out the door. We talked about Trey White being a Jayhawk now. And then we got Morris Johnson playing for Michigan now. Dre Gibbs Lawhorn playing for the Runnin' Rebs out there in Vegas. And then Kerry Booth now playing for Colorado State. So again, like I said, Mike, 5 straight seasons in the tournament for Brad Underwood and the Fighting Illini. Who's coming back? Who's going to be around to see if they can make it 6?
Yeah, well, this is another team that has a bunch of guys coming back, even though they lost, Yakashonis and Riley. You have Thomas Visage coming back. You got Colin Boswell, Ben, Humrickus, Ty Rogers, Jake Davis. They got a lot of experience from that team from last year coming back. And then Brad Underwood's just gone full international, I think, man, just with getting his star players. Talking about Yakashonis. Mihailo Petrovic, who we mentioned on the show, about a week ago. David Mirkovic, too. Both of these guys coming over, expected to do some damage for this team. And then also you added Andrej Stojakovic through the portal, the guard from Cal. Yes, he's an absolute dynamite scorer. And then you got Big Z coming over to hang out with his bro. So a lot of talent on this roster. And then don't forget about the high school ranks. You got a top 100 kid in Brandon Lee, the guard coming in, Keaton Wagler. He's a guard. He's number 145 on the 24/7. So yeah, a lot of talent on this team. I think when you look at projected stars, I think it's Petrovic at the 1. You got Boswell at that combo guard spot, the 2, Stojakovic at the 3. The 4 is kind of interesting. I think Hammerkaus is probably going to be that guy, and then Tomislav will still man that 5 spot for him. Torvik loves this team. Absolutely loves this team. Ninth overall, 8th overall in offensive efficiency, 16th in defensive efficiency. That offensive efficiency I'm with. The shooting's going to be there. They have a ton of size. I mean, just the Avicic kids, like, splitting time at the 5, like that is an awesome thing for them. Experience across the board for this team, like we mentioned. My problem with Torvik having this high, the athleticism overall as a group, and then I just don't see it defensively. Like they could be had a lot last year defensively. Hammerkaus, Visage, other than rim protection, like he's kind of a cone. So yeah, I'm a little worried about if the defense can even be somewhere in the top 30. So obviously if they're inside the top 20, top 10, they're going to be a top 10 type team. But I see them being more in the 30s or 40s.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, there's going to be some discrepancies here, some different feelings based on the roster builds. Some projections are going to have these teams ranked a lot higher than others. And we're a little bit lower on Illinois than Torvik is. But, that's just throwing it in it's so hard, Mike, on a season in, season out basis, if you will, to figure out how these coaches are going to mold these players together and form an actual team. We forget about that sometimes. Like, who won the portal? Who has all this talent? And does it come together? We see it so often that it doesn't. Can they do it in Champaign? We'll find out right after this break. No, I'm just kidding. But, we'll see if Illinois can make it happen. Coach Underwood's done a fantastic job out there for sure. Let's check the live chat before we move on here. Yeah, Montross was a beast. Yeah, for sure. Peanut Butter Posse, you didn't need to tell me in the live chat. I knew that Mark Pope was your favorite big goofy white player already, and he's done the dance. But we've seen it, and it's mine's Mark Madsen, and we're gonna get the Madsen dancing. That's my favorite goofy white guy, right there for sure. Matt Bullard wasn't goofy, but I used to love that 6'10" guy. He was like shooting 3-pointers before 6'10" guys were actually doing. That's a big tall white guy. Anyways. Good stuff. I wanted to get to Scott before we move on. Scott Waldrop here. Got to look at advanced metrics. Holloman and Arsenal were above 37% on catch and shoot, and then Dang 41% on contested threes.
Oh yeah, you should go check. You should go, Scott. Yeah, you should go check out our show. We broke down all of that. But the problem is that those aren't going to be the only type of shots. I think Dang though. We talked about his 3-and-D ability. Get out of Florida State. I think Day was 90th percentile, but like 88th percentile in spot ups. So yeah, Arsenal too is a really good spot up shooter. So no, yeah, I mean, I just worry that Kadir Copeland, no shooting at the 5. I mean, Vinal Lubin and Baya. So yeah, I'm with you though, Scott.
Thanks, Scott. Thanks for chiming in, man. Always good to hear from you. Let's move on to number 19 now. The Tennessee Volunteers. 12-6 in the SEC, 30-8 overall, good enough to earn them a 2 seed, and went on a classic Rick Barnes Elite 8 run there, beating Wofford, UCLA, and Kentucky before, losing to Houston. That Houston team so good. and didn't even end up winning the whole thing. How about that? But yeah, classic, Elite Eight run type stuff for Rick Barnes here. After 17 years at Texas, Mike Barnes is entering his 11th season in Knoxville. Zakai Ziegler out the door, man. That's a big one. That's a big name for sure. And then Chaz Lanier in that backcourt as well out the door. Jordan Gainey, Jemai Mashak, Igor Milicic, all gone, graduated, no more eligibility. So Barnes has found a way to just be Mr. Consistent for the last 28 years at a school that's UT, the University of T something there. He's just found a way to just be good for 28, 29 straight seasons or whatever. Can he pull it off again for another season in Tennessee?
Yeah, it was tough not putting them closer to 14, 15. I mean, look, here's the thing. Like, they lost a lot. And these are guys that have, like, Jemai Mashak, Zakai Ziegler, like, those guys have been the heart of this program for, 3 years, 4 years. So, Chaz Lanier, right? Like, I think he's going to make his way onto an NBA roster. Jordan Gainey was much better than people thought. Like, so you're bringing back Felix Opar. So you got a rim protector. Cade Phillips flashed as a backup big. Really, it's the portal. Jacoby Gillespie, he can get it done at the guard position, but defensively, he's not going to be anything near, what Zakai Ziegler was for you defensively. Jalen Carey's been hit or miss coming in for Vanderbilt as a big. I know he's going to be probably a backup big. Amari Abram, yeah, I mean, he has Power 5 pedigree, but I don't know, man. Like, there's a lot of new faces. They lost a lot. Obviously, I think the defense is going to be spectacular again. It's a good mix of players. I mean, we talked about Nate Amint. I mean, you get the number 4 player out of high school, a dynamic offensive weapon for them. Amari Evans, he's no slouch either, number 64 on the 24/7. They got a lot of talent. I think when you look at the projected start, like Gillespie, Abram, just worried defensively if those guys can actually lend to a number 2 ranked defense. Like, could I see them falling back to 7 or 8 because of the backcourt? 100%, which is why falling them down into the low teens kind of makes sense. But you also have a par there to clean stuff up. Amint, really good. And then just Rick Barnes, like, he just doesn't allow his guys to be on the floor if they're not going to play good defense. So we'll see, right? We'll kind of see what happens with this Tennessee team. I think they're one of the wild cards in the SEC this coming year.
Riley chiming in saying that he believes that Amint is the key for the Volunteers. Again, it's just like Michigan State, right? Wherever Tom Izzo coaches, wherever Rick Barnes coaches, the defense is going to be there. And this team will probably end up being ranked pretty high at some point. Will be ranked as a top 7 or 8 team. They always end up around number 1 or 2 or 3 or something. It's something, like, they'll just run off a string of games and be ranked super high and then sort of lose some games in conference. Like, obviously they were 18-2 at one point, not including conference games. So, I mean, yeah, they're going to be ranked high and they'll go on runs just solely based on their defense alone. That's the Rick Barnes brand of basketball for sure. We'll see if he can do it. I mean, obviously he hasn't lost a step. This is another coach who's been at a place for a long time and been around for a long time. And the game has not passed him by. Rick Barnes is still doing it well at a very high level for sure. Hit those like and subscribe buttons. Show your broskies in basketball some love. We definitely appreciate everybody for hanging out with us tonight. We love a little bit of back and forth in the live chat, the liveliest live chat in all of college basketball. We've got Peanut Butter Posse calling Amint timid to compete with those other high school players. The word on the street, Mike, apparently from the Kentucky fan, is that the the Tennessee freshman coming in is going to be a bust. So take that with a grain of salt for sure. All right, Peanut Butter Posse, keep it going. Everybody keep that live chat going. Let's move on to Gonzaga now, the number 18 team in our top 25 countdown here. Obviously out in the WCC, finished 14-4 last year in that conference, 26-9 overall, only an 8 seed for the Zags last season, who knocked off Georgia before another team that fell victim to Kelvin Sampson and the Houston Cougars on their way to that nice run. A lot of coaches, again, we're just talking about Rick Barnes being there for he's over 10 years there at Tennessee now. Izzo's over 20 gazillion decades at Michigan State on campus. Mark Few is now entering his 27th season with Gonzaga. Mike, I know he's someone that we just as people that cover the game and admire guys that have been doing it for such a long time, Coach Few feels like the kind of guy that you're rooting for to find a way to get that big payoff, that title before riding off into the sunset. He's been doing things the right way for such a long time and just hasn't gotten that ultimate payoff, but has definitely had some talented players come through campus. Ryan Nemhard, Khalif Battle, Nolan Hickman, Ben Gregg, all leaving out of eligibility. And then the portal took a little bit away from them. Michael Ajayi is now playing for Butler, and then Dusty Stromer is off at Grand Canyon. So 14-4 in the WCC last year for the Zags, Mike, and Mark Few trying to maybe rekindle a little bit of that magic, not maybe wanting to be an 8 seed and having to play a 1 in the second round. Although, it's not like the Zags won't beat any seed at any time, no matter where they are, given their history. But obviously looking for a little bit better result this season in the long term.
Yeah, and I actually think it's a little bit different with the Zag team. This is going to be a better defensive unit, I think, than we've seen over the last couple of years. And then they're going to be really able to score inside, I feel like, at will, especially when you have Graham Ike. Yes, Graham Ike is still playing college basketball, so should be a preseason All-American. And then you put him next to Braden Huff at the 4, who they finally, like the last week of the season, they decided to start him. And just the upside that this kid has is pretty amazing. So, yeah, you got Ike and Huff back. Manuel Innocenti, like, he's got some upside too. Braden Smith, redshirted last year. No, not that Braden Smith. The Braden Smith, who was the Patriot League Player of the Year, who decided to redshirt transfer last year so that he could take over the point guard duties for this year. Steele Venters, was a top 50 portal guy for us at Eastern Washington a couple of years ago, and he's dealt with 2 major injuries. So hopefully to see him back, if they get 75% of that player, I think he's going to be a nice bench piece for them. Also bringing in from the portal, Adam Miller, TGF, Tyon Grant Foster, Jalen Worley is coming over from Virginia after the mess that happened over there with the coaching change. Also bringing in Mario St. Superis, who we talked about, a guard out of Spain on the international scope. We also have Davis Vogel, number 34 on the 24/7 composite. So a lot of talent here. Torvik has them at 24th. So here's a team that we have, 6 spots above Torvik. 29th in defensive efficiency. I think they have a chance to be a little bit better. I know Graham Ike can be a cone sometimes down there. But you have to factor in they're going to be playing in the WCC, right? You also have to factor in, like, the defensive players that are, like, Tyon Grant Foster is a really, really good defensive player. Jalen Worley, a really, really good defensive player. Braden Huff and Ike can just basically take away the paint, I feel like. So you need some teams with some superior outside shooting to really outgun this Zags team, man. So I got Smith starting with Miller, Grant Foster, Huff, and Ike. I just think Ike, man, the inside scoring, and if he starts shooting threes like he kind of started to show last year, like, that's just terrifying. They got the playmakers, and I think they're just going to be much better on defense. I do worry about their depth, though, Jay. They're not as deep as they were last year.
Couple of comments here about the Zags before we move on. Peanut Butter Posse saying that he's heard Gonzaga doesn't have the funds to compete in the NIL era. So which happens first for Mark Few? Wins a ship, retires, or goes to – I can't imagine – I can't see him coaching anywhere else. So what do you think? What do you think happens first there for Coach Few?
Probably retires. Yeah, that's
man. We want to say so badly that he's going to win that ring, but I don't know, man. It's tough. If it is true that they're not able to spend there, right? Then it's hard. Even you can. It's not just about the X's and the O's. It's about the Jimmies and the Joes. And if you can't pay to get the Jimmies and the Joes on campus in this era, it's going to be hard to consistently win there. One more on the Zags before we get out of here. Riley chiming in saying that they hope Steele Venters gets on the court this year. You touched on that, just being nicked up over the last couple of years. Do you see Venters being a contributor?
Yeah, I hope he is, man. Like, he was a really good player in the Big Sky. So we're going to have to see. I mean, what is he after a few years removed from some major injuries? I mean, yeah, that's one of the stories I'll be watching for them, because if he is what he was at Eastern Washington, then yeah, that just gives them another weapon.
Good stuff there. Appreciate the live chat. Let's keep it rolling here. Like and subscribe buttons if you haven't already. As we move on to Louisville and the ACC, another ACC team here out of the first few that we've broken down. Finished 27-8 last season overall. We were talking in the pre-show, man, 18-2 in the conference, which was only good enough for tied for second. This is the top-heavy nature. This is the toy poodle moniker. This is where we hear it from. This is where it came from. This is why we're dealing with that. But all that aside here, let's talk about the job that Pat Kelsey did last year, who in his first season took this team from worst in the conference to almost first and was named ACC Coach of the Year. So Pat Kelsey doing big things there. However, some talent on its way out of the door. Chucky Hepburn, oot. Terrence Edwards, oot. Noah Waterman, oot. Rain Smith, he's out of here. And that's just guys that have graduated. Out in the portal, Corin Johnson now plays for Chris Beard and Ole Miss, and James Scott followed Johnson as well. So, again, a team, we have number 17, Mike, a team that's going to rack up a lot of wins again, most likely in the ACC. We talked about it earlier, not exactly the highest regarded from a defensive perspective, and then I said in general. But, again, definitely defensively. How do you think Louisville will fare, and who's going to be on campus to help them get there?
Yeah, so for Louisville, we put out a poll today from the One and Done Twitter. NC State was the team that had the best offseason, followed by Louisville. But I think a lot of us forget that after the first 5 days, Louisville kind of finished up in the portal and grabbed an impressive backcourt that we were like, oh, but Louisville won the portal. Louisville won the portal. So, while you lost all that talent, I mean, you have Javon Hadley coming back. Kason Pryor, don't forget about him. He's back. We'll see about Ali Khalifa. He's trying to get a waiver. That's a whole messed up situation. So we'll see what happens with that. That'll give him another big. We bring in Ryan Conwell, Isaac McNeely, and Adrian Woolley. Like 3 really, really good shooters. So offensively, they're going to be explosive. We talked about the international additions in the front courts and Andrew Frew, Vangelis Sugeris from Greece. And then you have some people say the number 1 point guard coming out of high school in Michael Brown Jr., number 6 on the 24/7 composite. So it's a ton of talent. Torvik has them at 18. We're at 17. Offensively, they're top 10 on Torvik, 32nd defensively. And I think that's where we're going to see, right? Can they be there defensively? Can these international bigs give them some defense? What is Kason Pryor after the injury? Connie Roos, what kind of ceiling does he have on that end of the floor? So we know they're going to be able to score the ball. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch, especially those 3 guys, Conwell, McNeely, and Woolley. They're going to be able to absolutely get buckets. So it's a good mix of talent here, man. So I really like the upside of this squad here.
The upside's there. Pat Kelsey's a great coach. We'll see if he can get it done in year 2 now for Louisville and the Cardinals. Last team here on this particular show, Mike, coming in at number 16, Iowa State, the Cyclones. Finished 25-10 last season, 13-7 in Big 12 play. Good enough to earn them a 3 seed, which then Lipscomb, the 14 seed that met their wrath. And then in what feels proper for their season, ended up losing in the second round to a good team in Ole Miss there. Coach TJ Otzelberger, who some on screen were wanting to be in the National Coach of the Year conversation at one point last season. And then after that, for a couple of weeks, they went 1-5. So Cyclone fans, you can thank me for that one. To the point of crushing Lipscomb and then losing to Ole Miss, Mike, to me, it felt like a team who on a night in and night out basis really never figured out who they were. That identity just felt like, yeah, we got a lot of talent and we can make things happen. Keyshawn Gilbert and Curtis Jones, obviously driving forces in that backcourt. No longer there to carry some of that load. Deshaun Jackson transferred out, went to Pittsburgh, and then Demarion Watson, obviously, at UNT. Go Mean Green in the chat there. So Iowa State, Mike, obviously Gilbert and Jones, those are 2 huge names to lose in the backcourt, but there's a big name in the backcourt returning as well as some other names we're very familiar with as well.
Yeah, Tom Lipsey's back. Your boy, Milan Momcilovic's back. Joshua Jefferson is back. I mean, those are 3 starters right there. So you did lose Gilbert and Jones. Nate Heisey, who I thought was an underrated player for them last year, he's actually back. So look, they're bringing in some mid-major transfers. The key transfer, I think, for them is the guy that's going to be replacing Jackson, which is Blake Buchanan, the transfer from Virginia. He's going to be pretty critical to them. I really like his game. I hate to, like, when you look at guys that, like, came out of the, Virginia program over the last couple of years, it's kind of hard to – it's kind of like Florida State the last couple of years. Like, you want to, like, Jerry Dang. You want to see what these guys look like away from that mess. Torvik here has this Iowa State team, 21st overall. 52nd in offensive efficiency. I think that's where the Curtis Jones effect hurts, along with Gilbert, but 3rd in defensive efficiency. So going to be good on the defensive end, obviously under Coach O. But I think offensively they got a little more meat than what Torvik's letting on here, especially with Momcilovic. And then, I mean, Joshua Jefferson, he can basically play point forward. So they have a lot of options here. Mason Williams obviously going to be key for them as a transfer. We'll see how he kind of steps up in competition, but they have the experience. They got plenty of options. They're going to be good defensively. We'll just have to see, man. We're going to have to see if they can kind of break into that top 15, top 10. It's really going to be if these mid-major transfers can make a dent at this level.
We'll see if I'll put Otzelberger back in the Coach of the Year conversation at some point. I think he's a good coach, and that's a good program right now under him. I wait for them to find an identity again this season. Until I see it on a night in and night out basis, it'll be hard for me to buy in thinking about them as a second weekend team. So we'll see how it goes for the Cyclones of Iowa State as Kinley gives boo. Kinley dropping in the old thumbs down for the Cyclones there. It's okay. It's okay. All right. What do we got here?
Can I give my our NC State friend some what do you call it when what did Tony Reale used to do for what was the show that he was on? PTI, right? Wasn't he dropping some Stat Boy stuff? Yeah, I think we have some Stat Boy stuff here for to kind of clean up here. And our boy Jerry Dang, 86th percentile in catch and shoot, 77th in spot up. So Arsenault, 81st percentile in spot up. So, yeah, I mean, they got some guys that can shoot the ball, but when your lead dogs like Kadir Copeland is a rim pressuring guard who can't shoot off the dribble, Trey Holloman obviously needs to be better. But, yeah, I mean, we're going to see this NC State squad, Jay, is so interesting. Like, everyone's hyped on this Will Ray train. The roster looks a lot better than what he had at McNeese, obviously. What shirt is Mike wearing tonight?
I was trying not to laugh at it while you were talking.
I'm trying to talk analytics for the people, and we want to know what shirt am I wearing. It's a Wakanda Forever shirt.
I almost did the salute. I'm not doing it on camera. We're not doing that. We're not going down that road.
Anyway.
Okay. All right, there we go. I did it. Okay. Push out those buttons if you want some more of this content, and we know you do. Let's close out the live chat before we get out of here. Johnny K hopping in saying his Johnnies might get a matchup with the Cyclones. I hope so, man. We're seeing some great early season matchups being put on the schedule, and I think especially some of these teams like in the ACC, we've already seen them change the way that their conference is structured to be able to try to schedule more of those premier out-of-conference games. I think we're going to start to see that more and more as we move along. Cam chiming in saying,
is Cam breaking news?
And then here we go. Their transfer from Eastern Washington apparently tore his
Yeah,
ACL.
that's Mason Williams. But look, they have some other guys. Dominic Nelson from Utah Valley was a really good player. Eric Mulder, the big. They got some freshmen coming in like Jamarian Bateman. Xavier Mitchell is a nice player. So, yeah, but that would be – Mason Williams is expected to be like a six-man or even a starter for them. So, yeah, we'll see if that – I mean, that's all rumors. So, we won't spread rumors on the one and done. But, you know.
Hey,
Kinley saying analytics. Yes, I'm an analytics like Jay. It's all these guys are so sick of me and the analytics that I know Jay's just like, dude, like they still have to play the game.
Yeah, hey, I'm the crusty old veteran that just talks about. Well, I've been doing this off of field for 40 years. You know, That's me. I'm sorry. I don't give a shit. But analytics have a place in this, obviously, and not many people do it as well.
They
as you,
have a
Mike,
place,
so
and we're here to stay.
They definitely have a place for sure. Darren, one more time, getting it in that he will not play Jaden Epps in DFS next season. Shout out. Good job there for sure. Peanut Butter Posse saying him and Big Blue Nation want Duke in the offseason. I hope you get it. I would love to see that. Some of that there for sure. Scott hopping back in one more time. Kinley hopping in as well. It's so good to see
Love these
the
guys
liveliest
and
live
gals.
chat in all of college basketball. We love all of you. Thanks for hanging out with us for sure. Thanks for our guy at Fantasy Nav for behind the scenes pushing those buttons tonight. Shout out to our guy Eric the Blue. Follow him over in those Twitter streets for all the best fantasy content for sure. Shout out to my guy El Capitan himself, the captain of the one and done ship. That guy right there, MC Holland 34 on X, the OG Money Mike, Mr. Mike Holland. Yeah, Mike's got to get some rest. Like Darren said, he's got to start that 27 big board next week. Get some rest now, my friend, because we know it's all. Hey, the 27 season is going to be here before we know it, man. I mean, it's June and we're dropping a top 25 already for this season. Who knows? I mean, it's right around the corner, really, when you think about it. So we appreciate you. Thanks, Cam, for hopping in. We appreciate you as well for hanging out with us. Push all those buttons. We're never too far away. What's the next show? Are we doing 10 more on the next show? Or how
10. We'll do 10 more on the next show, and then we'll give so that way we know we can really get set up for the top 5 that everyone's going to want to talk about.
Yes, of course. So teams 15 through 6 the next time out, and then 5 through 1. Count it all the way down here on one and done. Thanks for hanging out with us. We definitely appreciate all of you. Push those buttons. Take care of yourself. Take care of each other. Tell somebody you love them. And until next time, my name is JAYHEINRICH. Come again. Peace.
Thanks for stopping by the office. Get your fantasy prescription by subscribing to the channel and checking out drroto.com. And until the next visit, be well and take care.